Going to school, working, getting a family, retiring, and dying. For most of us, that's the sad reality of our lives. However, in those 80 years, nobody stays the same, and nobody should. We all change and develop new character traits, habits, and personalities. In order to describe those changes, the psychoanalyst Erik H. Erikson invented his stages of psychosocial development. In his theory, we face several turning points, so-called crises, in our life. Every time there is a positive and a negative outcome. External influences like parents, peers, and teachers have a major impact on which way we choose. These stages are trust versus mistrust, autonomy versus shame and doubt, initiative versus guilt, industry versus inferiority, identity versus role confusion, intimacy versus isolation, generativity versus stagnation, and ego integrity versus despair. Stage 2. Autonomy versus shame and doubt. In our early childhood, we start to discover ourselves. If our parents encourage us to do so, we develop self-confidence and the wish for autonomy. If not, we can start to doubt ourselves or feel self-shame. Stage 4. Industry versus inferiority. In our first years in school, we start to find our personal interests and might notice that we are different to others at our age. If we receive positive feedback from our teachers and peers, we begin to be industrious. If not, we can feel inferior. Stage 5. Identity versus role confusion. In the adolescence, we must separate ourselves from the identification with our parents. We are supposed to develop our own personalities and personal aims for our lives. This can either result in being proud of who we are and being aware of our self-worth, or developing identity diffusion or role confusion and therefore not knowing who we really are. In order to develop healthily, Erikson says we have to go through all these stages. However, if we fail at one of these stages, it doesn't automatically mean that we can never develop a coherent self, but just that we have to go back at some point of our lives.